January 13th, 2012. Off the beautiful coast of Italy, the waters of the Tyrrhenian Sea are calm. A magnificent, glittering city is floating slowly on these very waves. Aboard this floating city are more than 4,200 people. They are living a dream, a 7-day Mediterranean cruise. Inside, the atmosphere is celebratory. People are having dinner, listening to music, and dreaming of the vacation ahead. It's a completely normal night. The crew members at their posts and the vacationing passengers all place their full trust in the ship's modern engineering and its experienced crew. But they had no idea that the ship's most senior officer, its captain, was about to make a decision that would turn this routine journey into a nightmare. A small, unnecessary attempt to give a salute would bring this colossal vessel to the brink of disaster. This is the story of that floating palace whose name was the Costa Concordia. At the center of this story is Captain Francesco Schettino, a 51-year-old experienced mariner. He had more than 11 years of experience with the Costa Cruises Company. His colleagues considered him a confident, sometimes overly confident and showman-like individual. Under his command was one of the world's largest and most modern cruise ships. His job was to ensure the safety of every single person aboard this vessel. But that night, Captain Schettino's focus was not on safety, but on something else entirely. He ordered a deviation from the ship's pre-planned route. He wanted to perform a sail-pass salute near the island of Giglio. This was an unauthorized maneuver in which the ship is sailed extremely close to the coast to salute people on shore. Schettino wanted to impress two people. One, the ship's head waiter, Antonello Tievoli, whose family lived on Giglio. And second, a retired Costa captain, Mario Palombo, whom Schettino was calling to tell him he was about to pass by his island. This desire to show off was laying the foundation for a terrible disaster. His one decision was setting the stage for a collision between the massive ship and the underwater rocks surrounding it. The Costa Concordia was not just a ship, it was a city floating on the sea. When it was launched in 2006, it was the largest cruise ship ever built in Italy. 17 decks, for swimming pools, a casino, a theater. It had every facility necessary for a luxury vacation. It was a marvel of modern maritime engineering, designed to withstand the most difficult sea conditions. That evening, 3,206 passengers and 1,023 crew members were on board. These people came from 70 different countries. Some were celebrating their honeymoon, some were with their families, and some had used their life savings for this trip. For them, it was the beginning of a routine cruise. For the ship's crew, most of whom were from the Philippines, India, and Indonesia, it was another day, another shift. Their job was to make the passengers' experience memorable. No one could have imagined that in just a few hours, their struggle for survival would begin. 9 p.m. Captain Schettino takes command on the bridge. At that moment, the ship is on its designated course. 9:30 p.m. Schettino orders the ship to be put on manual control and turns it towards the island of Giglio. The ship speed is approximately 16 knots, or 30 kilometers per hour. For such a large ship at such a speed, sailing this close to the coast was extremely dangerous. He had also summoned the head waiter, Tievoli, to the bridge, who should not have been there. The atmosphere on the bridge, instead of being serious, had become careless. Other officers on the bridge expressed concern. Navigation charts clearly showed underwater rocks in their path. But Schettino ignored their warnings. He was busy talking on the phone with Commodore Palombo, showing off his bravery. 9:44 p.m. Officer Ciro Ambrosio shouts, "Captain, we are heading straight for the rocks." It was then that Schettino realized the danger. He hastily gives the order, "Hard to starboard, hard to starboard." Turn the ship completely to the right. But it was too late. The Costa Concordia's immense size and momentum meant it could not change its direction instantly. Human arrogance and the laws of physics were now on a collision course. At 9:45 p.m., with a deafening, metallic grinding sound, the Costa Concordia strikes a massive underwater rock. The ship's 300,000-ton weight couldn't break the rock, but the rock tore open the foundation of this floating city. In the dining hall, plates and glasses slide off tables and shatter on the floor. Lights flicker and go out. People scream and fall from their chairs. A deep, violent shudder runs through the entire structure. On the bridge, Schettino and his officers watch as the ship's most vital sections, the engine room and generator compartments, rapidly fill with water. The ship had lost both its power and propulsion. But the passengers were told it was just an electrical failure, a blackout. On the ship's port side, a 50-meter-long gash, roughly half the width of a football field, had been torn open. Cold seawater was gushing in at a rate of thousands of tons per minute. Crew members in the engine room risked their lives trying to close the watertight doors, but the scale of the devastation was beyond their control. The Costa Concordia had now become an uncontrollable, wounded giant, slowly sinking in the darkness. The minutes immediately following the impact were the most critical. This was the time when a clear and effective evacuation order could have saved thousands of lives. But Captain Schettino did the exact opposite. He tried to hide the severity of the situation. For more than an hour, he did not give the evacuation order. He called his company's crisis center but failed to mention that the ship was taking on water. This delay made the situation even worse. The ship began to list heavily to one side. Passengers were sometimes told to return to their cabins, and at other times ordered to assemble at muster stations. This confusion increased fear, and fear led to chaos. When the abandoned ship order was finally given at 10:54 p.m., more than an hour after the collision, the ship had already listed more than 20 degrees. And then, Captain Schettino did what is considered the most shameful act for a captain. He abandoned his sinking ship and the thousands of passengers and crew trapped on it. He was in a lifeboat heading for shore well before 11:30 p.m. Meanwhile, Captain Gregorio De Falco of the Italian Coast Guard contacted him on the radio. Their conversation went down in history. De Falco asked, "Listen, Schettino, there are people trapped on board. You go to the bow of the ship, and you tell me how many people are there. Is that clear?" Schettino replied, "But you realize it's dark and we can't see." To which De Falco yelled, "And what? You want to go home? Schettino? Get back on board, damn it." But Schettino did not go back. He left his people, his ship, to die in the darkness. The Coast Guard was alerted to the disaster not by Captain Schettino, but by phone calls from terrified passengers who had called their families. What the small community of Giglio Island witnessed was a nightmare. In front of their homes, a giant cruise ship lay on its side, like the Titanic. The island's people, the mayor, the doctors, all joined the rescue effort in their small boats. It was here that the engineering of the evacuation process was tested. Modern cruise ships are designed so that everyone can be evacuated within 30 minutes. But this is only possible when the ship is upright. The Costa Concordia had 26 lifeboats, capable of carrying over 4,400 people. But because the ship had listed more than 20 degrees, launching the lifeboats on the starboard, right side became impossible. Gravity was slamming them against the ship's hull. Many crew members, who were receiving no orders, acted on their own initiative. They threw down Jacob's ladders, or rope ladders. They formed human chains to help children, women, and the elderly descend from the ship. These crew members, abandoned by their captain, emerged as the true heroes. In the dark, on a slippery, tilting deck, they saved thousands of lives without regard for their own. When morning came, the world saw the true scale of the devastation. The rescue operation continued for weeks. Divers searched the submerged parts of the ship for survivors. In the end, 32 people lost their lives in the disaster. The investigation placed the blame squarely on Captain Schettino. He was found guilty on charges of manslaughter, causing a shipwreck and abandoning ship, and was sentenced to 16 years in prison. Costa Cruises also accepted its responsibility and paid a €1 million fine. In the wake of this disaster, several major changes were made in the cruise industry. Now, every ship's voyage plan is approved in advance and is monitored in real time. The rules for who can access the bridge have been tightened, and emergency evacuation drills are taken much more seriously. The end of the Costa Concordia was as monumental as its size. In what became the largest and most expensive maritime salvage operation in history, the ship was righted. The operation took more than 2 years and cost nearly $2 billion. A Spanish diver died during this operation, bringing the death toll associated with the tragedy to 33. Finally, this wounded giant was towed to the port of Genoa to be turned into scrap. Today, everything is peaceful on the coast of Giglio. The sea is just as blue as it was that night, but a memory is hidden in that peace. Here on the pier, a rock is mounted. It is the very piece of rock that tore into the Costa Concordia. It is a silent warning. The story of the Costa Concordia is proof that no matter how advanced technology becomes, the ultimate safety lies in human responsibility and proper leadership. A marvel of modern engineering, a floating city, was destroyed not by a storm or a technical failure, but by one man's arrogance and his abandonment of duty. It serves as a reminder of the 32 innocent people whose vacation turned into a horrific disaster, and of the countless unsung heroes who kept humanity alive on that dark night.